Thanks for joining us. For Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, Super Tuesday lived up to its name.
The two candidates did well across the country, but did not come out on top here in Minnesota. Here, the majority of Democrats chose Bernie Sanders to be their nominee, while Minnesota Republicans carried Marco Rubio to his only victory last night. Republicans reported a record turnout for their caucuses, more than 115,000 people. The Democrats had more than 202,000 folks cast a vote. Despite that success, there were still long lines, large crowds, and some confusion. Pat Kessler is here now to explain why some say Minnesota should switch to a primary like most other states. Hi, Pat.
Hi, what a night. Most of the time, though so few voters attend caucuses, there are no operational problems. But this year, a historic presidential race resulted in a caucus to remember. So many people came out to caucus, some precincts were overwhelmed.
Running out of ballots, folks.
Now one influential lawmaker says there's gotta be a better way.
You can't have 100 people crammed into a classroom to vote.
Republican Representative Pat Garofalo's Farmington caucus filled the high school hallways and gymnasium. He says Minnesota should kill the caucus and switch to a primary.
There were people who had to walk 4 and 5 blocks. People were turned away from voting locations. People who were working simply couldn't participate. The current process is broken. It doesn't work, and going to a primary will fix that.
A presidential primary election would be very similar to the elections regulated by the state. But not everyone thinks it's a good idea.
I think it works fine just the way it is.
Dave Quayer's been caucusing for 34 years. Last night for Ted Cruz.
It's just more of a feeling of participation. The precinct caucuses, you get to meet your neighbors, know what the other people are thinking, you get to discuss the party platform.
Minnesota's caucuses are run entirely by volunteers, and party leaders admit their overwhelming success led to a night that was sometimes simply overwhelming.
You know, we're working as fast as we can in there, but obviously it's an overwhelming, and I don't think anybody really anticipated all of this.
Well, despite record caucus turnout last night, it's only a very small percentage of Minnesota voters. Only about 10% showed up. Minnesota's voter turnout for presidential elections in November are much, much higher. In 2012, 77% of Minnesota voters actually turned out. That's #1 in the nation.
Yeah, it's good to see folks participating now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Pat.
You bet.